right now. Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
All right, thanks, Josh, and good evening, everyone. Welcome inside the Fan Cave. It's 412-575-2600, same number. Call us with your opinions. Bob Pompeani here. Andrew Fillipponi's up at 93.7 The Fan on a night where the Penguins, they felt the power of the Colorado Avalanche, and when the Penguins went out there in Denver, they put an avalanche of goals on that team to win 7-2. So tonight, I expected it was going to be a little bit of a payback, and it was, as they beat Philadelphia to jump ahead of the Penguins. The Islanders lost to the Blackhawks. That could hurt them. You also saw Detroit win over, who did they play tonight? I think it was, no, Detroit lost to Ottawa. Ottawa beat them. So Ottawa jumps over everyone into the wild card, and they move past Detroit. So I counted 7 teams here within 2 points of one another. These kinds of games are going to be very meaningful. Your thoughts about what you saw tonight?
Well, the Penguins have played, as far as goal differential, 2 of the worst games of the year in back-to-back games, and it's coming at a horrible time because of what you're saying. There's so much jostling going on and so much competition for playoff spots. Now, I'm going to give them a pass because they're against the 2 best teams in the NHL, arguably. Carolina in the East and Colorado in the West, 2 teams that right now are going to be number 1 seeds. And they got buried by both. They were without Malkin tonight, the guy that was the catalyst for their win there. So really what needs to happen here is a reversal starting Thursday in Ottawa. Now, Ottawa's red hot. It is on the road. And then after that, you've got Dallas at home, the 2nd best team in the West. So this is a hellacious time in the schedule for the Penguins. They're not playing well right now. Their special teams are in the toilet. Their goaltending has not been as sharp. Their play in front of their goaltender has not really been that good either. Has left a lot to be desired. So they've got to get out of this funk that they're in, because they could wake up on April 1st when we turn the page to the final month of the season, and they could be on the outside looking into the playoffs. It's very possible. The only thing going for them at that point would be the schedule gets much easier in the final month of the season. And if they do have to make up ground, Bob, they have the schedule to do exactly that.
Yeah, but some of these teams can also take advantage. I was looking at the advanced schedule for the Penguins. They have the Islanders next week, and that's a big game. Right after that, they go to Tampa Bay. They have a home-and-home with Florida. And even though the Panthers are out of it this year, they are the 2-time defending Stanley Cup champs, and that's still a difficult place to play. So it may appear that way, but we'll see how it goes. Thursday's a huge game for them. They typically do not play well in Ottawa. They need to do it. Now I want to get into goaltender interference, because the Penguins are now 0 for 8 this year when challenging goaltender interference, and it's really not their fault because it is completely nebulous.
It's ridiculous that you're right. These are supposed to be gray area things that could go either way, and the Penguins haven't had a call go their way all season long. I don't know why. To me, it's got to be obvious if they're going to overturn the call on the ice, like we see in the NFL. And that was not obvious whatsoever. You had Taves stick in there, which may have done more to interfere with or change Wedgwood's ability to play the puck than what Justin Brazeau did.
Well, we'll find out how it's going to go, but it's something, again, if you go 0 for 8 on challenges, there's something wrong with, I can't believe they'd be wrong all the time. I thought that was a challenge that Colorado was going to lose tonight, and they end up winning it. We got to take a break. We'll get your phone calls coming up. It's 412-575-2600. Also, Pirates are just a day and a half away. They're going to start in New York on Thursday. We'll get into that, and anything else you want to talk about is fine by us. 412-575-2600. This is the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. We are live on KDKA Plus and 93.7 The Fan. All right, welcome back. This is our Xfinity tweet of the night from Matt Norlander. It's about Hubert Davis. He's done it North Carolina. Had a meeting there tonight between Davis and school leadership. A massive event amid the NCAA tournament. One of the best jobs in college sports is now open. And it's interesting because he went there. He's been there for 5 years now, Andrew. And first year he goes to the NCAA finals. The past 2 years, losses. And I guess this 19-point blown lead against VCU is maybe the last straw. But he's had a pretty impressive win-loss total. But down there, it's not really acceptable. So he's out. And I wonder who they start to look at to be the replacement, because it is a plum job.
Well, yeah, I think they'll look at the biggest names in the sport. They should. Whether that's Golden at Florida, even though they're coming off a loss to Iowa, which was a big shocker and the real only surprise of the second round of the NCAA tournament. So I would think he would be. near the top of their list? Do they go after guys who are maybe in the NBA or outside of the college ranks? I think that's entirely possible too. You've got Kansas, you've got Duke, you've got North Carolina. Those are really the Kentucky. Those are the best jobs in the sport and have been for a long time. And I think that they should expand outside their network of just find an alum, find someone with ties to the program. I think they've got to change things up in order to keep up in this rat race that is college sports right now, Bob.
Yeah. The only problem, I think, Todd Golden's buyout's like $16 million. Our producer tonight, Jeremiah Miller, is hot on the name T.J. Otzelberger, the guy from Iowa State, because he's been really good. And I tell you what, McCollum at Iowa, I don't know if he's done a very good job everywhere he's coached, and he's kind of a hot name, and Iowa's moving on. They're taking on Nebraska. It could be one of those kind of guys, because the buyout for the guy at Iowa State, I think, is, what did you say, Jeremiah, $4 million. So it's a lot lower if you're interested in that, but a lot of names come. Yeah, Todd Golden's a hot property, you're right. So we'll see.
Well, yeah, and we'll see what happens with some of these older coaches who are still coaching in the tournament. John Calipari, can he get back to a Final Four at Arkansas? Can Rick Pitino, he's got St. John's in the Sweet 16 for the first time since 1999. Can he upset Duke, a Duke team that still has some injured starters? Tom Izzo, he used to be a staple in the Final Four. He's trying to get back there, and they've got to take on a UConn team that has gone to two of the last three national championships. So one good advantage of having no upsets, Bob, is that the matchups this week look really impressive. Teams that can all probably go to the Final Four or win a national championship.
I don't know if this matters at all, but Rick Barnes is a North Carolina native, so if that matters, he's had a very successful career, but he's up there in age. We will see as the college basketball merry-go-round goes round and round. Let's go to our number one Cochrane Go One Better caller of the night tonight. We're going to begin with Jim in Greentree. Hello, Jim. What's going on?
Hey, Bob. How you doing?
Good. What's going on?
Hey, the Penguins, the same old Penguins. They need a good goaltender. The two goaltenders they got, they ain't worth a dime.
Well, I mean, they've had their moments. They've not been very good of late, but I think the people in front of them, both forwards and defense, have let them down a little bit too. But I thought Sheilov should have made a couple of saves tonight. In a game like that, you have to, as a goaltender, make some saves. Wedgwood did, and maybe he was extra motivated because he got yanked the last time he saw the Penguins, Andrew. But he made some big saves when he had to make them.
I still wonder about Miroshov and whether or not he can end up factoring in here if these guys stay cold and neither one of them can pick up their game. When you've got an exciting option like that in your system, who we've seen play in the NHL already this year, you've got a goaltender that's been in the last two Stanley Cup Finals, but there's a reason why Edmonton dumped him, and that was because of inconsistency. And we're seeing a little bit of that right now, especially when the play in front of these Penguins goalies is not great.
Let's go out to Jay, who joins us in Easton. Jay, you're on the sports call. Go right ahead. Hello, Jay. Well, Jay was going to talk about Connor Griffin. Instead, we'll go to Bill in Coriopolis. Hey, Bill.
Hi, guys. I'm curious. Where did all Mike Tomlin's coaches go?
Well, Terrell Austin went with, I think, the Arizona Cardinals, as he has some sort of rollout there. And you saw Ohio State, right? They brought in the offensive coordinator. Arthur Smith. Anybody else that those are the two that I noticed immediately. And it's kind of a late hire for Terrell Austin, wasn't it? It was after a lot of coaches had been hired by other teams.
Yeah, he's like a senior defensive assistant or something like that there. You saw Mike Sullivan land on his feet. He was hired by the Raiders as their quarterbacks coach today.
And, of course, Danny Smith went to Tampa. I forgot about him.
Yeah, and there's some scuttlebutt that maybe the Raiders will take Ty Simpson instead of Fernando Mendoza, but I don't buy that. I think Mendoza will end up with Vegas, and I think they'll be very happy with that selection given what he was able to do at Indiana, getting that program a championship.
The name Ty Simpson keeps coming up. Orlovsky was pushing him quite a bit, and you get closer, and then you have all these different scenarios, all these different mock drafts and whatever. I still think it's going to be Mendoza number one. I agree with you there. By the way, our KDK.com/Connect poll tonight is an interesting one, brought to you by Penn West University. If you had 20 attempts at each scenario, which would be more likely for you to do? Hit off Paul Skeens or block Myles Garrett? My answer would be none of the above. I couldn't do it. How about you, Andrew?
I would probably take my chances with Myles Garrett. Maybe I could say something to insult him enough where it would get him off his game and he would be flustered. The Paul Skeens thing, I have absolutely no shot at getting a hit off of him, and I can't wait to see what he does this season. His over-under strikeout total is 210. I think he can get that and then some if he's able to stay healthy and make 30-plus starts this year. He better get superior run support than what he got last year when he went 10-10, which was insulting and really an embarrassment to the Pirates that a guy that good finished with a .500 record. And thankfully, the Cy Young Award voters did not hold them against him, Bob, because he was the best pitcher in the National League.
You don't even need superior offense. What you need is another run a game, basically, on average. And that's why these guys were brought in. If you do that, his numbers go from 10-10 to probably 20 or 17-3. I mean, he was that good. He was that dominant. And all you have to do is give him a little run support. So I think you're right about that. And what are the odds of him repeating as Cy Young? Because I believe he is the favorite once again.
Yeah, they are, and he should be. Now, you've got maybe if one of these Dodgers guys is able to stay healthy, like a Yamamoto, which has not been able to happen yet, you got to keep an eye on somebody like that. But you figure the run support will be better. You think the team will be better, so the win-loss record gets better. In year 3, I think Paul Skeens, period, will continue to develop and enhance his game as a starting pitcher. So he will be a sight to behold beginning with that Thursday afternoon game against the Mets. And then we wonder what happens in the rotation behind Paul Skeens, because I like Ashcraft. I'm high on him. Keller's got to find a way to do it for a full season. Bubba Chandler is such a big X factor for them, Bob. Can he be the guy that he was at this time last year when he was viewed as the best pitching prospect in the minor leagues? I thought he took a step back in 2025. It's time for him to show that he can be part of that 1-2 punch with Paul Skeens.
And if it happens that way, they're going to be in pretty good shape. Let's go to John and Plum before we take a break. John, welcome to the Sports Call. Go right ahead.
Pompeani, hello. How are you doing?
Good.
I was listening overnight last night, and they were talking about the North Carolina job, and the guy said he thinks that Jerry Stackhouse would be a very good candidate for that. What do you think about that?
I wouldn't think that. What about you, Andrew?
I mean, he didn't work at Vanderbilt. I don't think you want to have someone that failed at their last stop as a head coach. See, I don't agree with the fact that you have to have someone who went to school there.
Right.
I know Dean.
But you
Smith
like Jerry McNamara, right? Because he went to school there, because of the job he did at Siena.
Well, it's a combination of both.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the big things now is fundraising. Can you get people to spend money and invest in your program? And beating a 1 seed, almost a moral victory against them, I do think excites people like me, Bob.
And I would agree with that. I don't think it has to be the number one reason. I think they acknowledge that. It is potentially a reason, but not the overall reason. I think Stackhouse would not be a good choice, at least in my opinion, to North Carolina. We'll take a break, come back with more right here. 7 nights a week, it's the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call on KDKA Plus and 93.7 The Fan. All right, welcome back. One more call before we go, and that would be Brian in North Huntington. Brian, make it quick, please.
Good evening, gentlemen. After watching the Combine, and now that Michael Pittman is here, I'm starting to think that it makes much more sense now that the Steelers will chase either an offensive guard or a tackle in the first round.
Yeah, we're out of time, but thanks for that call. I mean, that is certainly an opportunity for them, given what's happened, losing Sayamalo and not sure about Broderick Jones, but I still got to believe they'll figure out a way to do that, and there's still some guys out there they could bring in. But I don't think they'll spend a first-round pick on that either of those positions. Do you, Andrew? Do you think it's necessary enough? If they're bringing back Rodgers, blindside protector is very, very important to them.
Well, I think the left tackle thing should absolutely be on the table because, I'm still a wide receiver guy in the end. Mm-hmm. But the situation with left tackle is a simple one. If you do not find your quarterback this year, You don't want to go into next year's draft needing a left tackle and a quarterback, because you're not going to find those two things likely in free agency. So you probably should try to plug one of those holes in the first round of this year's draft, Bob.
But they found Zach Frazier in the second round. You know, they could maybe find somebody later in the draft. Who knows? But that's going to do it, Pony. Thank you as always. Appreciate it.
Goodbye, Bob.
Goodbye, Andrew. And that's going to join us. Hopefully we'll see you tomorrow night right here at 10:35. Have a good night. We'll see you later.